Hello, hello, once again, my brothers and our beloved sisters. This is J.A. Rogers Mike's side. We are Black Men Declare. We've come here to change the narrative. Our format is very simple. We just ask a series of questions to each other or from each other to ascertain, what the black perspective may be on a particular subject matter. Starting this thing off this day is a very very powerful question. I'm looking very very much to hear what these esteemed gentlemen might have to say. The question on the board right now is: do men submit more in relationships than women? Do we men submit more than women? Dr. Tell, what you got to say about that?
Greetings to you, Dr. Rogers, and to my fellow panelists, and to the women and men of Black Men Declare. I've heard and seen this discussion between men and women, where women were arguing, saying that they are more submissive than men. And the men on the panel said that that was impossible, and they said, "Well, how do you say so? Because women are known to be docile and submissive." And they said men are more submissive, and the examples that they gave was very insightful. The argument was, if men have a disagreement or have a argument with women, then instead of a woman could put her hands or argue or push a man's button, but because of the fact that he loves her, because of the fact that he cares for her, and because he know that he is more physical, um, meaning that he could be abusive to her physically, he submits by not going and using what he naturally has as more of a physical fit. Also, they said that men are more submissive because men will listen to other men because they know and they believe that they have been put into a leadership position. The example they gave is that men will listen to a general when they are a soldier because they understand that that general has been put in place. They also acknowledge the fact that you have athletes who will submit to their head coach, and their head coach might have never played basketball. The exact example was Kevin Durant makes over 35 to 40 million dollars a year. He listens to his head coach, and his head coach makes far less than him. His head coach hasn't played professional basketball and will never be as good as Kevin Durant. But because Kevin Durant understands that this coach has been put into this position, because he understands that there is stuff that he needs knowledge and understanding that he needs to acquire from this coach, that he will submit to this coach. So with that argument as the premises, I agree with the men that men are predominantly more submissive to women because of the fact that we are willing to we can assert our authority physically, but we have decided, because we believe that whoever is the leader, whoever is the one who is giving direction, a woman or a male, then we will be submissive to them. And we understand in today's society, not all women, but there are a lot of women who will say, I'm not going to listen to you. Who are you? I make more money than you. So why should I listen to you? I've been doing it on my own. You ain't my daddy. And with that mindset, they have decided that they will not be submissive to a woman. So in my opinion, I agree with the men, and I look forward to hear what the brothers and what you have to say.
Greetings, my brothers. Ben Branniker here. Interesting question. But I come from, as I said, the old school. In the old school, your question and your comment would be quite pointed of interest. However, there's a new day dawning right now. Women have gotten more aggressive. Women want to wear pants in a family, in a relationship. And you got some men who are subservient to women's ego, arrogance, and or feminism. But then you got some men who are having trouble being men. So it's an interesting question. I think that I want to go 50-50. It was at one point a little higher on one end on the other, but right now it's 50-50. I share in love. Peace, brothers.
Peace, family. Good to be on with my colleagues, my brothers, in this fight for truth, freedom, justice, and equality. This is Denmark here on this episode of Blackmen Declare. And I think I don't have to go through all of that. I think just looking at my own family, the women in my family are dominant. They're dominant women, and it just seems to be a black woman thing. I don't know no other way to put it. I watched my grandfather submit. I've heard stories of my great grandfathers on both sides being submitting. And I find myself doing the same thing. So it's like, hey, the happy wife, happy life. So black men, I think I can't speak for all races, but I can speak for most of the black men that I know. We all say yes, dear. You're right, dear. What do you need, dear? And we keep a happy home. The minute we start flexing our muscles or whatever, we get cut off. We get put on the couch, and it makes us, it humbles us, and so therefore we become more submissive. So in this equation, I'm with the men. We way more submissive, and it's probably a selfish submission because we don't want to be cut off. Peace, family.
Oh my goodness. Do men submit more than women? Well, the concept of submission has physical, mental, and legal implications, right? And husbands need to submit to keep spousal peace, and husbands must be willing to sacrifice to save marriages. So currently, some men have grown to be Euraxius. That means henpecked. 1 in 4 women, or 24.3%, and 1 in 7 men, almost 14%, aged 18 and older, have been the victim of severe, even physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. Now, according to this information, most men who are abused do not report it. So those numbers could be higher. And say the level of anecdotal, situations probably mean that men more so than women are submissive. Even in unmarried situations, some women will use sex as a means of control based on the man's level of submissiveness. Isn't that something? So that's a powerful weapon that our women possess. Is that ability to break a brother down to submissiveness. Now I know some people are gonna say, "Oh, that ain't true. That ain't that this." But I believe at the end of the day, especially with the black folks, as Tara Hunter said, women learn the skill of manipulation, and it has carried forward the good and the bad of it, ever since the beginning of our arrival here. Now, I know we see and hear, to be quite honest, of some African nations that to be a real totally different situation. But here in America, and based on the experiment of the American project, I know that men truly submit more than women. But we like to hear what you say, our audience. What would you say to say? But we also, before we go, want to remind you to smash that notification button and also share it with friends. But Dr. Till, I don't know if we hit everything for you on that question, but why don't you come back and close it up for us?
Well, I would definitely agree with you, Dr. Rogers, that there are a great number of people, especially men, who are demasculated by women for the sake of keeping peace. I know being in multiple relationships and never being married, I have been told by most married men that whatever you need to do to keep the peace, you ought to keep it. But it's always been a struggle for me because that's not what my good book tells me. My good book tells me that I am the head of the household, that I am the priest of the household. And so by being such, then there is some authority that I have. So it seems like the world today is a great contradiction to what the Bible speaks about, what the Quran speaks about, and what we who have some relationship with God. But it'll be interesting to hear what the sisters and brothers have to say about this issue.
All right, brother. Peace and love. Till next time. This is J.A. Rogers, Mike's side. Share it, share it, share it again. Change the
New
narrative.
format, brother. New format.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
transitioning. I'm
okay,
transitioning.
okay.
I'm transitioning. Uh, but we're out here in the process of doing what we do as we go through our scanning of the environment. We look for unique situations to discuss. And, one of the submissive realities is that there's a war going on over there in Eastern Europe where a country was not submissive to another. And because of that lack of submissiveness, Ukraine has been invaded by Russia. And so there was a quote made by Ukraine's President Zelensky that, in essence, the Hamas attack on Israel is just like Russia's attack on Ukraine. But that led one to look up and research and all of the billions of dollars that have been spent over these last 14 or 15 months in support of Ukraine. And I know there's a lot of needs in America. So perhaps, we should be asking the question, uh, are we supposed to love more nations or other nations more than we love our own American citizens? Is anyone noticing that all of this money, billions of dollars, have poured into Ukraine? Trillions of dollars went into Afghanistan, yet our urban areas continue to decay. Dr. Banneker, what say you, my brother?
I say, Ben Brannick here, we really understand that the American political process is slanted towards the Aryan culture. Most of these countries, I should say, are white, but there is war in black countries, and America puts no money, or I should say, less money in those conflicts than they have done with Russia, Ukraine, Hamas, and Israel. Now we're talking millions, we're talking billions of dollars in the last 2 years. I'm wondering, is there a third conflict coming up between China and Tanzania? America has not put very much interest. You can find little contributions to the American infrastructure. That infrastructure is in predominantly white areas, not predominantly black areas. But I just find it very difficult to see the equality of moving the dollar around from one continent versus home. So I do think that the United States has put more money abroad than they have spent on its own homeland. I'd like to hear your comments about that. Peace, brothers.
Greetings, Dr. Banneker, and greetings to all the sisters and brothers of Blackmen Declare. Brother William Tell here. I agree with you, Dr. Banneker, for different reasons. I agree with you because, and I kind of hate to admit this, but the Republicans just recently were upset because of this allocation, this bill of granting more money to go overseas instead of allowing the government to have their appropriation funds. And we was on the verge of a government shutdown. And they decided at the last minute to do a continuing resolution for 45 days. But I'm disappointed, and I agree with the Republicans, because why would we invest or continue to invest in other countries when we need that money to be allocated just for our own government to continue on? I think it's about the old card game, or the old pea in the shell. They keep on moving the shell, the pea around to hide this money. And I don't know if they're hiding it in this war or that war, or this country or that country, but whatever, they're not allowing the American people to win. And that in itself is a shame. As always, blessings to you all.
Peace, family. I think America is at a crossroad, man. They're at a crossroad. I think we don't understand that some of these nations that we're supporting or dealing with, they have infiltrated America's government. They have infiltrated congressmen, senators. They have infiltrated us. They played the long game. We've been playing the short game. And I think it's really starting to show now that America, their congressmen, their judges are for sale. It's unfortunate in this entire mix that the people that get left out are Black Americans, because we don't know where to butter our bread. We don't know who to support that in the long run will help us. They distanced us from African countries long time ago, and we still trying to fight for land and money and resources at home. No, we have no ally because we have not aligned ourselves with any other country, especially in Africa, that can help us or want to help us. But these congressmen, these white congressmen, mostly males for the most part, but females too, they have aligned themselves with countries across the world that they know if anything happens, anything pop off or whatever, they have a place to go. Their children are safe in certain countries because they are making sure those countries are well taken care of in America's um, policies and financial backing. So we have to look at this thing and see that we're in trouble. We are in trouble. America is for sale, and it is what it is. Peace, family.
Wow. I'm going to give some data that I think will substantiate what we've all said. According to the Council on Foreign Affairs, the United States spent more than 77 billion to support Ukraine over the past year. 60% in military support and the balance in financial aid and humanitarian aid. And think about this. While America was in Afghanistan, over $2 trillion, with over $1 trillion of military aid. Now, every urban area in America could have several new recreational buildings with basketball courts, swimming pools, and the indoor running tracks and the like. Because 31.5 trillion is the current national debt. That debt would be more than 73,000 per every U.S. citizens. What could be done? But see, there's a deeper thing. They're not looking to do so because see, the conclusive answer is that American politics use the concept of national security interest as being why you must spend all of this money in these countries, especially in terms of foreign aid. When you look at the foreign aid that's been sent to Israel, that gave Israel a chance to develop its nuclear capability while wanting everybody else in the region not to be nuclearly powered, with the exception of Saudi Arabia. Now, and you know those brothers that they got in with them, how I think it's because they promised them some protection just like the United States did. But remember, all of this that we see going on with the spending in Ukraine versus spending in other places versus what does it mean to us as American citizens, and then more specifically as Black citizens in America, it truly means it's an amplification of what so many have said. The problems that could be fixed with just a little bit of that money when you go into these inner cities. And if, you know, when I was coming up, you had the option that you could go and play in a park. You can go and play in a gym. You had some facilities. A lot of our young people don't have that today. See, America, we can do everything we can to make us hate a country. Like right now, they're doing everything they can to make you hate Russia, and now they're doing everything they can to make you hate the Hamas, hate Hamas. But that's just the way it is. But you must be covert when you sub-optimize Black citizens living in urban areas in America, knowing they have needs for both academic and recreational centers to support the long-term needs of this nation. You would think you would want to do that because of the change in the population, that you want to keep the best of the best. But it just proves again, Dr. Banneker, it just proves again that at the end of the day, as Ben Denmark said, we have a group of people that have checked out because they've been bought out. And when you get bought out, then you know that money is the root of all your evil. But perhaps you want to give us a brief summation as well, based on the input from the brothers.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to capitalize this topic. But I believe that everybody is right on. It is important. The color of money is green. It is important that all that is going on from yesterday and today, who is spending your money? The American politician. Who is the American politician? White, Anglo, American, probably Jew in that case. So we are at a point of trying to find out where we have an alignment. Where's our shining armor? We have to change this narrative quickly. I share in love. Peace.
All right, brothers and sisters, don't forget, smash that button, that notification button. If you're just joining us, smash that. Share it, don't smash it. That share button, share it with somebody else, though. Have some conversation with somebody else. Stuff going on everywhere. We mentioned briefly about the war in Israel and the war in Ukraine. But, you know, how do one of the things we want to look at, how does the war in Israel and the war in Ukraine differ in the way the media paints the pictures? What is it really that the media trying to do in that picture that they're framing in our minds? Denmark, what you got on your heart on that, my brother?
My brother, that's a heavy loaded question and something I've been pondering for a few days now since uh, the attack by Hamas and Israel. And I scroll feeds, I scroll news channels, looking to see how the media is painting this picture. And the Ukraine situation, Ukraine once being a part of Russia, uh, is being painted as a uh, as a saint. No matter what they're doing in the war, they're being painted as this saint, given unlimited amounts of money to continue to destroy Russia. Why? Because America wants Russia as weak as it can. And over on the other side of the aisle, you have Hamas, who is fighting to um, establish Palestine again as a recognized state by the United Nations, by America, by across the world, fighting for territory that has belonged to them since the beginning of time as far as history goes. But then you have America painting Israel as the saint and as the victim, and as perceiving it to have more damage done to it by Hamas than the lives that has been lost over the past, just we could say over the past 10 years by Palestinians, the lives that have been lost by the Palestinians who are living in an open door, open field, open air prison, being locked inside the area in Gaza that they were pushed back to. Um, Israelis been killing soldiers, I should say. Israeli soldiers have been killing Palestinians for the better part of 40, 50 years now. But they never get the media play. We have one congressman who is a Palestinian immigrant that is fighting to be heard, her voice to be heard because she knows the pain, she knows the suffering, she has a long history of knowing this, but nobody wants to pay attention to her. You have people online posting, posting videos, posting images of babies and families being torn apart. And remember now, Hamas is a group. It's not the state of Palestine. It's a group. That's different. Russia is a country attacking another country. You have a group that they're saying attack a state, but the state is turning, or a nation, but the nation is turning around and attacking a whole area of people for a group of individuals. And we're painting that in the national media, and not telling the whole story of since the inception of this created state that they pushed, that the United Nations and America pushed in the region. It's an atrocity, and it's just a shame that we refuse to do any research on our own. We continue to listen to the news media, and allow them to paint these pictures. It's just a shame, man, just the way that the media is showing and painting these pictures. And even our own president got up and lied and say that he saw the beheading of babies, that the White House had to come back and apologize, or not apologize, had to come back and fix what our president telling a bold-faced lie to the American people. It's a shame.
Wow, brother. That's enough to get you upset. Hamas, as they try to define it, this is a Western definition, is an Islamist militant movement and one of two major political parties in Palestinian territory. It has between 20,000 and 25,000 members. Come on. See, before when we talked about this, when we said the United States pick on small countries, Israel, the same model. You're going to pick on somebody, you go like they really bad. Come on. That's really shameful. But Russia invaded also as an additional expansion of what Denmark said. Russia invaded based on the encroachment of a nation. They had been assured by NATO that NATO was not going to penetrate any further east. Well, they could use Ukraine to do so. And remember, there was a coup in 2014 and all of the stuff that went on there. And for the last 10 years or so, Ukraine was also voted as one of the most corrupt nations on the planet. So all of a sudden, they become this great place because of, I don't have to repeat what all of you have already said about why it took place and why it's happening. But it's shameful, but that's the way it is. And they won't even allow, like Denmark said, someone that could give them firsthand knowledge. It'd be like somebody trying to, tell you about something about a city or a place you lived in, and they never lived there. And they giving the opinion about the place, but you lived there and you just came from there. Same type of situation. So Ukraine is a pawn. It's a NATO pawn. And they got the right guy, so he could be now chasing history in the form of Zelensky. And here's another key on their war. The United States has sent over 260 billion of foreign aid to Israel. Literally has built that defense program. And that's why, if you read between the lines, CNN and one of the commentators was saying, they said something like, to the something I'm paraphrasing. How did Hamas, again, in a very condescending way, break through to cause this kind of damage or do this to Israel? Like saying, how could that happen in arrogance? That was a question asked. But Denmark, I think he broke it down very clear. We got to read between the lines. You got to do a little research to know that Hamas is indeed a group, an organization. It's not like the state of Palestine, right? And it's a shame because the last thing Netanyahu said today, they were not going to stop until every member of Hamas was dead. Now that's kind of strong. That's kind of strong. Wow. That we need to get into something a little lighter to discuss there, brothers, for a minute. I mean, we all know um, Floyd Mayweather, right? Great boxer. I don't know. Wait a minute. Before I do that, though, let me hold on. Let me go back. Let me back up. See, Denmark. I skipped over you. Come back and share with us any additional comments. I was getting ahead of
Hey,
myself.
actually,
Well,
brother, William Tell and Banneker didn't go. They didn't answer the question.
well, Dr.
Oh,
Rogers,
I,
no,
I
let me
really got
comment.
ahead of my question. I
No
really got
problem.
it.
Dr. Rogers, I understand, and because I know you, I understand the importance, and I think that is a great segue to my comment.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there are so many people, and I wouldn't just say people of color, but there are so many Americans who do not care outside of what's going on in their own city, in their own community. And so we are being fed anything, and we're being fed a bunch of lies. One time, as you all have said, and greatly said, um, once we are told that you can never say anything negative about Israel.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, you couldn't say everybody was saying everything negative about Ukraine, and then when the war started, then you start having all these um, protests, and you had celebrities, and they even had um, different monies raised for Ukraine, and you like, well, hold on, isn't that the same people like 6 months ago that was no good? But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have any knowledge, and if you don't have and if you don't want to know, then you will never know. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, so many of us, and I will admit that before my eyes was open and before I started realizing that there is a world bigger than my city, than my state, than my country, then that's when I started paying attention. But you got to want to know, and you can't just go by one resource. You have to go by many different resources and do your research. So it is my challenge to all those who are listening: go out and do your research and look
Mm-hmm.
and live beyond what you can see.
Amen.
Banneker.
Dr. B and be with us in a minute.
But one of the things that Dr. Tell was talking about, and all of a sudden, within the last 24, 48 hours, not doing any research, they just happened to bring out a little minor point that this is all in somebody else's backyard, but it won't affect our country. It won't affect our America, North America. Then all of a sudden there's finding relevance to let's get our interest level up. Now they've identified we have a vice president, which we've never had one like that before. Not only is she black, but she's a female from HBCU college. She happens to be married to a Jew. Now all of a sudden, it's our problem because we have a vice president that has relevancy to the Jewish culture. Well, I'm ashamed of mankind as a whole, whether you are whatever nationality you are. We have gotten to a point where they try not to show the hatred and the demonic spirit of Hamas. They did show some of the hatred and the demonic spirit of Russia in its day. So with all of this hate going on, with all of these cultural differences going on, who's handling the checkbook? Doggone it, there are so many monies being spent to everybody else's problem, but not here in the own United States. In Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston, New York, all major cities, Atlanta. Our infrastructure is crumbling. And we see on our television, the newscasts, I mean, they're bombing the heck out of some of these places. They're talking about rubble. But heck, I can remember we went up to Detroit, Michigan one time, and we saw a demise of a corporate of a nation of a citizen group. I'm just outdone because we truly have no relationship to the money, no relationship to the need of correcting a problem. I share that in love. Peace.
Just coming back to close it, man. It's a tough situation, man, because first of all, you don't want no innocent lives lost in this war and these wars, no matter which side of the equation you fall on. But people are fighting for a sense to be heard, a sense to be seen, where these nations that have the money, have the resources, are trying to control everybody. They're trying to control everybody. And if you fight against them, they would demonize you to make people feel that you are the evil one, when indeed they are the evil one. Malcolm X once said, be careful of the newspaper because they will have you believing that the oppressor is the enemy. I mean, the oppressed is the enemy. I'm sorry, the oppressed is the enemy. This is the situation that we're living in because on social media, it just dawned on me a few minutes ago. Social media is the new way to control the masses because now they're removing all of the posts where people are asking to pray for Palestine, to support Palestine and sending aid. They're removing the posts. That's control. We can't stand for that. Peace.
So right, brother. You're so right. I mean, some of these fights we cannot handle that happen between nations or between, state slash organizations. But we can, one on one, or if we're in that particular boxing community, as you may say. We all know Floyd Mayweather. I think I can't remember the number of fights he had now, but never lost. 50, I think, maybe 50 or something. He was being interviewed and he was describing himself and he said he's not an African American. but that he's an American, born in America, that he's just an American. So a simple question like for the brothers uh, to give some feedback on. Do you agree? Is Mr. Floyd speaking the truth? Dr. Tell.
Um, I would agree with him to a certain extent. It's sort of when the example that he was using is that when he is representing America, he is representing America as a whole in its totality. And when you are representing it to other countries. But we have to realize that unfortunately, people in general like to address other people and put them in boxes and put them into categories. And the categories that he and myself fall under is African American, meaning that our roots originated from Africa. He used the example of Europeans, but what he did not use is where people consider themselves Asian Americans. Some people consider themselves Irish Americans. So I think when we are representing ourselves or represent America to other countries, yes, it would be great to be acknowledged and looked at as a totality, one America. But the way that we are treated within America, we are subdivided and we are then treated differently. And for that, I want to be separated and treated as such. As always, blessings to you all.
Dr. Rogers, Ben Brannicky here. Interesting question, comment. There is one point of a topic whether we are, or there is a situation called the mark of the beast. I went religiously through the Bible, found all kinds of heroes, all kinds of characters, and they be black. I went and looked at my cultural history books. There are black people all over the world, in every country. I have nothing negative to say about Floyd Mayweather's assertion of he is an American. The mark of the beast. Once you are black, you're born black. You die black. We've seen situations where some people want to change their color, can't do it. But we should have pride at being black. Some people are trying to figure out how to change the color of their character. And I said the color of their character. An African American, a European black. If you're black, you're black. Skin colors doesn't mean anything. One thing is common for mankind. The color of blood is red all over the world. But this culture, this dispensation, has a problem with the color of our skin. Our blood bleeds the same blood as everybody else in the world. I share that in love. Peace.
Floyd Mayweather. He's done something else recently, but we're not going to talk about that. But he can choose to identify whatever way he wants. That's his prerogative. But boy, do I miss the 60s. Do I miss Muhammad Ali. and that crew who fought, who stood on something, and it wasn't about securing the bag. I wasn't born then, but just reading and understanding and being around people who were and listening to their stories, like they stood for something. I myself don't use the term African American. I use the term Black. And the reason why I use the term Black is because that can unite, or I have seen it unite brothers from across the globe, Black people across the globe, whether you're in the islands, whether you're in Africa, South America. Using the term Black united us. So I chose to use that. Right now, to be truthful, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that God put me in this dispensation of time and that I just happen to be in America. But I happen to be in America and will do what I can to make sure my people in this country receive a fair treatment and whatever. But as Black people, we are global people. We are global people. And it's in America's best interest to get as many of us to deny being a global people. Because to be truthful, we are what's holding America together. I heard Jamel Hill say it recently on the Breakfast Club, and I found it to be true. Black people are what's holding America together because we believe in America more than they actually believe in it. We want them. We want to see the the documents that they hold so dear. We want to see them live up to that, and we will forgive and forget more than any other people. We would do that and say, and much as America has done for us, we still walking around here trying to be the best American there ever was. I'm talking about Black people. And America has done some stuff to us, but we still trying to be better than they are at being in America and being an American. So I say to everybody who wants to do that, that's fine, because I'm going to be a great American too, as far as trying to be the best person I can. But I'm global. My ancestors are from Africa, and I want to establish connection to that actually more than I want to be the best American. Peace, family.
Wow. Great comments, great answers. I mean, Mayweather has his prerogative, and I think I myself don't use the term much African American anymore because it does not denote a nation. Meaning that was a mistake I believe that was made back in the early 80s with Jesse Jackson and others came up with this term African American because they could have learned from the Nation of Islam that you really want to get some kind of recognition or respect, you have to be a nation. That's why you got still some of this going on over there in Israel today, and you hear the words about their right to exist and all of this stuff that they don't want to be recognized. Palestine, it's a bunch of stuff, but what a key part of that is knowing about that nationhood. But to get back to Floyd himself, if you travel, we all know this. If you go to any other place, they're gonna call you American. That's all you'll be. You won't be a African American. You know, you'll be black. Some of the places you go. But even black nations, I remember one time going down to the islands, going down to Jamaica, and I had put on my little card, black. I mean, African American, right? So of course everybody was black. The second you in, they said they scratched out the African and said American. And then after that, as years passed by, that was probably some 30, 40 years ago, but as years passed by, you get to the point to where black to me is more appropriate because you're not connected to a nation. I mean, if a few of us know where we're connected to, then that's great. But the majority, 99.9% of us don't. And that's because another, I don't know, people guess 5 to 10 million of us around here walking, walking around passing as white as well. So this race thing, definitely we can't say it's a pure thing because all of the raucousness, the vicious, debaucherous activity of that white man back in the day with our ancestors. I mean, so we got some issues we got to deal with because of not us, because of him and what's of him that's in us that we need to be delivered from. But I would say that Floyd has every right, just like Tiger Woods did when he called himself Caucasian, Caucasian, Black, and Asian. And so the other groups, that you talk about the French American, an Irish American, Ireland, they all still relate to countries. Polish American, Italian American. They could go back to a nation, but African American, you don't go back to a by default nation. So technically, he's right. Got every right to call himself an American that he wants to. I wonder how many dollars he got paid to say that because there's no reason why, in my view, he should say anything of the sort. I could see him and say that I'm not I'm an American, but I'm a Black American. I could have go for that. I'm a Black American. Uh, because if you get to that level, to me, there's so many other blacks that don't have that opportunity and they're gonna never have it. And they identify being black. And you want to make a connection to them, that's what you do. You say I'm black. You don't try to push them away. You don't try to say like I'm different. I've risen above. Think about it. I've risen above being black. I'm American. Like that's above. Like that's a step above, right? Come on. That's not a step above. And that's how it kind of condescendingly sounds as well. I'm above. I'm an American. Almost like that other story we had about the brothers wanting to get the white girlfriend and go down south. We'll leave that alone. Y'all smash that notification button for us, though. Let us know what you think. So when we come back, we'll know what to do after we get into this next question. Smash that one. All right. I'm gonna try to transition to something everybody's trying to do right now. Everybody trying to analyze. There's a brother out in Colorado, right? And this brother out in Colorado, I mean, he doing some great things. When he was first hired, I guess they was asking the question, how were they gonna pay for him? And my understanding now that they're raking in so much money that they done already recouped what they were going to pay him, over 5 year period. Of course, I'm talking about none other than prime time and what he's doing out there. But I guess this is a kind of open question: is that what can we learn from Deion and L the name, image, and likeness, the new thing that they're doing for these college students. What can we learn from Dion and the name, image, and likeness program, and especially what we see going on at Colorado? Come on, hit Denmark first. What you got up, Denmark?
I think Deion is a mastermind when it comes to that. He's always been that. Since the day he stepped foot on Florida State's campus and returned that first punt and made that first interception, he's been a mastermind at um, creating that name and image likeness to make some money off of it. Back then he couldn't get paid, but soon as he stepped, at least we know at least openly he couldn't get paid. Now, knowing Deion, I wouldn't be surprised if he took a few checks in his locker back in those days, especially when he
Mm.
tells the story of his mom. But when he stepped foot on that NFL football field in Atlanta, there was no doubt that he knew how to bring the money towards him. As a matter of fact, he made a song called "It Must Be the Money." So we know he's all about creating that type of atmosphere. And the one thing I do love about him is a couple of things that, like I always say, yes, I'm upset with him leaving Jacksonville because I felt he left at an inappropriate time. However, him playing with his sons receiving a lot of money, living on their own. Not only them, you have all of the top players on that team making money that they can choose to stay in the college another extra year because they don't have to rush to, to take care of their families. And then I saw him the other day, the last game, I believe. No, maybe it was I can't remember what game, but the kicker, I think the kicker is a Mexican kid. And the way he told that kicker, the kicker made just a little field goal. He said, man, go out there and do your thing, man. Do your thing. I'll take the penalty for it. Because what he's doing is he's allowing them to celebrate, to have fun, but he's also saying, hey, you might not make it to the NFL as a kicker, but make yourself known right now so people see the little kicker do the dance. Now they want to put him on the billboards in the local area, make him a few, a couple $1,000,000 or so before he leave Colorado. And that's ultimate business, man. I wish it could have been done at Jackson State, and I believe it could have. But he's doing it in Colorado. Black kids are benefiting, but we know at the end of the day, it's a 98% white college, surrounded by a lot of white folks. And it is what it is. But he's capitalizing off of it.
I would definitely say, Brother William Tell here, that I am also happy and so glad for so many years you have had boosters that were illegally giving money to athletes, and now they can become legitimate. These athletes can become legitimate, and they can put their legitimate money and use it to either invest in property or use that money, the real money, and use it to help their families and what have you. I think it's beneficial also because then you are allowing younger people to make mistakes. We all know that when we were younger, we were foolish with money. We made mistakes, but now, if they are available or they are able to go to the NFL, where for me it means now finally legal to make money, then they would be able to be better stewards of their funding because they would be able to say, I've had $1 million before and I've blown it. Let me not blow it this time now that I'm in the NFL. So for me, I am so glad. I am glad that Deion is making these players millionaires. And they're willing to stay in college and get a degree. So where else can you become a millionaire and possibly earn a degree? Not too many places. So for that, I applaud Prime Time.
Greetings, my brothers, my sisters, Blackmen Declare. I just said, Blackmen Declare. Prime Time is declaring who he is. He's teaching a class on how to declare what you want to be and getting paid for it. I applaud the marketing and the commercialism for these young people. He focuses particularly on the male athletes. I can go crossover and do the female athletes as well. But it's marketing. We are born to create. We are born to earn a living. Deion Sanders has found a way to market prime time, not only for himself, but for all the children that he touches. Make the money, change the narrative. Peace.
Yeah, prime time. Something else. Let me just share this a little bit as we wrap this up. What makes being a college football coach so attractive? You may find this interesting. They make a lot of money. You know, this and you're right, this name, image, and likeness has allowed these universities to also begin to look differently at how they look at life. But of course, the highest paid dude in college football is Saban with Alabama. You know, all of those SEC dudes, Kirby coming next, dude at Clemson coming in over there. But look, they went up a longer route to get there. And now Deion is he's in the top 20 um, at 5 million. But already his move to Colorado resulted in over 45 million in earned media money for the school, according to the Apex Marketing Group. The school has also seen a 42% increase in sponsorship revenue. And trust me, as long as that brother is doing that, he ain't gonna have no issue. To the NCAA, their revenue is in the billions. You know, some say the profits is over a billion. I mean, they making some money. A lot of the money, of course, coming from TV. But at the end of the day, I think what we all can learn, what I learned, and it's said, we've got to be more aggressive in sharing with you, our listening audience. Black men declare. We must be more aggressive because it's obvious that this message is a message that's needed in terms of space repetition. You hear something, if you hear it most of the time in a short period of time, short duration, for at least 31 times, you're going to change your habit. You're going to change your habit. So the habit we want to change is getting that black perspective in what we do and how we do it. Understand the micro and the macro. So we enjoyed ourselves with you this evening. Want to ask anyone if they got a 15 or 20-second closing comments on any one of the subject matters this evening. Well, are we all good or somebody want 15? We
Hey,
all
brother,
good?
this was a great episode. Just thank y'all for having me on, and just let's not be controlled by these social media platforms. Continue to change the narrative, push the program.
Amen.
Yeah, as always, it's great to share a platform with you all and to bring about discussion. And as I mentioned before, to my brothers and sisters of Blackmen Declare, just don't listen, but go and research. Go out and find out what's really going on beyond your neighborhood, beyond your city, beyond your state, and really beyond your country. And you'll realize that what goes on elsewhere really does affect you. As always, peace and love.
All right, brothers. God bless. Love all of you. Love all of you. Go out there, make something happen. When you make it happen, do it as our brother just shared, Dr. Till. And peace and love. I'm J.A. Rogers, Mike Side. All right.